Doma Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, we got the top 5 left. We did the top 10 pound for pound boxers, and we got 5 left. We did from number 10 to 6. Number 10 was Devin Haney. Number 9 was Naoya Inoue. Number 8 was Errol Spence. Number 7 was Jamel Charlo. And number 6 was Guillermo Rigondeaux. So, remember, for those who didn't see the other one, because there wasn't many of y'all, but whatever, it is like this. If you were doping twice, then you can't be on the list. Because doping, one-time doping, I explained in the first one, go check that out. That can happen because of certain things being added on the list, but 2 times mean you're doped, right? Another thing, another thing that's, that I take into consideration is the information that you have by being someone who's interested in boxing. If you're interested in boxing, then you pay attention to things like negotiations and things like somebody doesn't want to fight somebody and you know it, and things like that. So that's also in there. Another thing that's very pertinent is, undisputed. For me, that's one of the most important things in boxing. Boxers that want to be undisputed and boxers that have, you're going to probably definitely be on the list. Now, the resume, obviously, is important. But in resume, I like to note, a little separation. Sometimes people just say, hey, I fought this guy and that guy, but didn't win or won, and there wasn't too much separation, as opposed to other ones who didn't get the opportunity. So things like that is always, in there. Things like this, ring generalship is one that I, can't really put in there really because of the simple fact of ring generalship is seen by some and not by others, right? Sometimes you got fights where a fighter is the aggressor, and a close round, normally we'll give it to the aggressor. And I've seen fights that they don't want to do that, right? Or seen a guy who is hitting somebody and not being hit in return. I've seen that sometimes that's, wow, and sometimes it's like he's running. So therefore, get out, both of those. You know what I'm saying? Did you win the fight or not? So we don't have that discrepancy. So let's take it to, one thing before I get started too. The top 5 is going to definitely be ones where you're debating. Definitely debatable, or you're probably like, controversial, because these are probably not guys you're going to really see in anybody's pound for pound list. But this is through my lens of how I see what's going on, right? And that's how I view things, right? So, number 5 will have to be little brother, barely little brother by a few minutes, Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo, man. Jamel Charlo got 3 of the belts at 154 pounds, right? Jamel Charlo has an opportunity soon to become undisputed if he fights my man Brian Castano, who just beat Teixeira in a fight. And Castellano is a definitely formidable opponent, because Teixeira, we thought, your boy Charlo gonna get him. But with Castellano, who has a win over Errol Spence in the amateurs and has a win over somebody else formidable in the amateurs. I'm not exactly sure right now. It hit me in a minute. Darianchenko, right? So he's beaten 2 different kind of guys in the amateurs, of course, or in the World Series of Boxing or whatever that was called. Those 5-6 round fights. So the guy has talent. He put a lot of pressure on Teixeira. So this Brian Castano is definitely a formidable opponent. So Jamel Charlo, who has 3 belts, Jamel Charlo, about 154 pounds. This man's 31-0 with 22 KOs, right? No, excuse me, that was his brother. He's 34-1 with 18 KOs. Okay. Now, his guy got wins over, Austin Trout, which you're not going to do. Undefeated Erickson Luden, right? When he was undefeated, that was a highlight reel. Probably went viral. He beat Vanis Manda Rosen. And see, people, because Gennady Golovkin fought Manda Rosen after a 2-year layoff and brought him up to 160, people was trying to act like Vanis Manda Rosen wasn't all that at 154. Go back and do your homework. He beat Vanis Manda Rosen when he only lost once. And that one loss was a fight against Demetrius Andrade, and where he had Demetrius Andrade down even. Vanis Manda Rosen was formidable at the time that Jamel Charlo fought him, right? He got a win over Charles Hatley, who was also only had 1 loss, right? And his latest win over Rosario, who's just coming off beating Julius J. Rock Williams. The guy Jamel has 3 belts, close to undisputed, and there's some separation. His one loss was to Harrison, and he came back and beat him by KO. So this is debatable because I was looking at Errol Spence, who also has done damage, has 3 belts in his division. Jamel Charlo just got a few more fights. That's why I got him above him. But let me tell you something. Jamel Charlo with 3 belts is supposed to be in the pound for pound. I got him at number 5. And I think he's going to do some damage. Like I said, we'll know after his fight with your boy Castano, what happened is that he'll either solidify that number 5 spot, maybe go up a spot, or get up out of the top 10. That's going to see what's up. But when somebody's that close to undisputed, they should be in there. Number 4, and this one will be controversial, will be Deontay Wilder. He's not even the champion no more. So what the hell is he doing up in there, right? Well, I'm going to tell you. 40, 41, what is it, 40, 42 and 1 and 1 draw with 40 KOs. That's the reason. And pound for pound, right, most of the time the boxers are close together, in weight because of the weight classes. But this guy is the epitome of pound for pound. In my opinion, he's knocking people out at an average of 20 to 25 pounds heavier than him most cases. And he's done it for a long time. That separation, because he was able to knock all these people out, all 40 people, right? And you will hear, hey, they're bums. And a lot of people that come in because they hate but call boxers bums without going to do their homework on what those boxers did after fighting Deontay Wilder or even before. But because they probably weren't a champion, the people will say after a fight. They do this to a lot of good fighters. There's a couple of them coming in a minute where, it's like after they've been beaten, then, hey, they were bums. Go back and research. Give the boxers enough respect after you call them a bum or before to see what those fighters did. For example, Duhapis from who Deontay Wilder beat, right? Duhapis went right away and beat Robert Helenius, right, in Finland when he had 1 loss or less. And, Helenius is the one who just beat Kanauki, right? So, and Duhapis is really all that. Duhapis is very resilient. Duhapis went over to Russia, got knocked out by Povetkin when Povetkin was dope with Stavern, but he was there on 24 hours notice, you know what I mean? And then fought a dope guy who we know is dope. He probably just got some money for it. But the point is, Duhapis is not easy. Just to pick him out right there, right? So if you would call, that's somebody who Deontay Wilder beat, you would call him a bum. He was on, so that means if you call these people a bum, then everybody in the boxing industry is a bum because somebody has beat somebody. Robert Helenius did beat Chisora too, if I'm not mistaken, for example. So, those are the things. I just think the Deontay Wilder to be knocking people out that are a lot heavier, a la Tyson Fury. Like, for example, Tyson Fury is considered the very best heavyweight in the world right now. He had Deontay Wilder by about 50 pounds, and Deontay Wilder had him down twice in a fight. The very first fight with Tyson Fury was a draw, but I would like anybody to go and just do the scenario and say, hey, you have a champion, challenger, what happens? They fight, one guy is pressing the action, right? One guy had the other guy down in 2 separate rounds, right? Normally that guy's going to win, especially if he's the champion. But in this case, it didn't. So you would think if he didn't win, then at least the challenger, in this case Tyson Fury, had him wobbled in a couple of rounds, had him hurt in a couple of rounds, had him something. Or even after the fight, he was beating him. Somebody's face was all scarred up or something. But Deontay Wilder looked better than him after the fight. 6 weeks later, Tyson Fury still had marks all on his face. Now, I'm just saying, it's very hard to not be the aggressor, get knocked down twice, and still win the fight, and you really didn't beat the hell out of that guy. I didn't get that draw, but whatever. He got a draw for that fight, and that's not bad. The next fight with Tyson Fury, there's a whole bunch of controversy involved. And even if he lost to Tyson Fury, you can lose to somebody 40 pounds heavier than you who's learned boxing since they've been a baby. Right? It's not that bad. So that's why Deontay Wilder, and many other reasons, but I ain't trying to make this a Deontay Wilder video. Deontay Wilder, number 4. I don't see nobody else knocking out that many people that are that much heavier than them. That is the epitome of pound for pound, in my opinion. he's got to be in there until he loses a time or two more. And if we talk about a loss, you can't be in there or something like that. I just said Jamel Charlo, he's in there with a loss. By most of these mainstream pound for pound lists, you got a guy 14-2 in the top 7 or 6. 14-2 with Lomachenko. So it's possible, right? Okay, number 3 is Alexander Uzik. The epitome of Ukraine, bring the pain. I mean, the Klitschko's, started the Ukraine, bring the pain thing. But Alexander Uzik. Alexander Uzik, I'll talk about him in a lot of videos. Alexander Uzik is 18-0 with 13 KOs. He has undisputed next to his name. So that means that's probably a done deal. He's been undisputed at the cruiserweight division, and that's ridiculous. Okay? And the way he did it at the cruiserweight division is going to everybody's backyard to beat them. Right? It would be Berlin, Marco Huck in Berlin. Right? Topping that off, going to Latvia to beat Maurice Briedis. And then in the final, beating hard-punching Morit Gassiev in Russia to become undisputed. Before the tournament, he was able to go beat, in America, Michael Hunter, who's also a heavyweight now, who ain't nobody else beaten. Michael Hunter just got robbed fighting Povetkin. Beat Povetkin, actually, and a whole lot of other people. Ustinov, your boy Martin Bacoli, and the likes, right? Another Russian cat that was undefeated when he beat him. This guy, Michael Hunter, is awesome, right? And they're very similar because they're not big, and they just figure out ways to win. So, but he beat Michael Hunter before that tournament. And after that tournament, after going to everybody's backyard, right, including Michael Hunter's, he went to Tony Bellew's backyard after Tony Bellew just got through beating David Haye twice, right? And then beat him right over there in Liverpool or Manchester, somewhere like that. Bottom line is this is boxing royalty. I really ain't got to say more. Boxing royalty. If these other two in front of him just are in front of him. This guy right here, he does a little bit, just a little bit at heavyweight. He's moving up. Because, like I said, undisputed won. But undisputed, going to everybody's backyard, never be going home. That's telling you, I will beat you in your backyard, in front of your family, and they going to vote for me after the fight. That's awesome. That's number 3 pound for pound, if not higher, right? Alexander Uzik, Ukraine being the pain, it ain't no thing, because it's plain. There you go. Number 2 pound for pound, and that'll probably be controversial to some people, but not me. But anybody that's been here already know what time it is. You've been here a few times. I do every a video about this cat pretty often, and that would be Demetrius Andrade, right? Demetrius Andrade, WBO champion at 160 pounds, right? Middleweight division. Demetrius Andrade ain't had no super wins of late. Ain't fought nobody super of late, right? You know what I'm saying? But let me just tell you this. But I told you, when you have inside information and you know things, then this is the epitome of that. That's why he's number 2 pound for pound. Should be number 1. So I've said in a few videos I got him number 1, but I'm not going to put him in front of number 1. But damn near. Demetrius Andrade has been a champion, right, since 2013. A champion, WBO champion, 2013. I'm saying he was at 154 pounds and 160 pounds. He's 29-0 with 18 KOs. I'm going to repeat this again. A champion since 2013. Now, let's get this straight. When you're a champion and you're easy, the vultures are coming. The buzzards are coming. Now, dude, with 2013, we got 21 now. That's 7 years at least, depending on the month. But it's over 7 years, a champion. And can't get these people to fight him. And pound for pound guys like Canelo and Gennady Golovkin. He's even off to fight Gennady Golovkin right-handed because he's a southpaw. He's Canelo Alvarez at the 154 pound division. Wanted him there, called him a female dog, you know what I'm saying, the B word, right? He's been banned from coming to Canelo or Gennady Golovkin's press conferences because he wants to bash him and try to do whatever he can do to get these fights, right? Now, I know people are like, well, who he fought? It don't matter. He never fought him and all that old stuff. But if you're a champion, he's not like saying some prospect or nobody can avoid. I have a belt. All of a sudden, for 8 years, no one wants my WBO belt in the middleweight division. Junior middleweight, okay, But in the middleweight division, the glamour division, Canelo had an opportunity in 2019 in September to fight this man for undisputed, and went up there and waited on Sergey Kovalev 2 weight divisions higher, and everybody ignored it. And that's what the thing about your boy. When the media gets involved, right, then you know it's something. When the media ignores an undisputed fight, then you know it's something. So those things I don't ignore, because I would tell you this. If Murata, right, my man Castaño, who just won, or whatever his name is, what about Ugas or somebody, they became champion, they're not going to have to wait no 8 years before somebody get them. If a Zamareta would became champion, you think he's going to have to wait before somebody? Like, nobody's going to want that belt. It's a reason why nobody wants that damn belt. And, you know, and it's the funny thing, you know, because it's like the Andre Ward syndrome with my man here, Demetrius Andrade, because, you know, it ain't like you're going to definitely get knocked out, right? But you're going to probably definitely lose, right? You might get embarrassed up in here, something like that. There's people like this that should not exist in boxing. I think he should be, you know, I think that mainstream or traditional should have him in the pound-for-pound list. I think that the shows, not in the internet, you see him time to time on the internet, but on the mainstream shows, invite him. Have him tell you his story in front of millions of people that know that these people that are held above him, like a Canelo or a Gennady Golovkin, to what extent they've gone through to not fight this man, right? This is almost a hero running around and can't get no fights against the very, very, very best that boxing has to offer. And as long as Canelo's considered number one in some people's pound for pound, this guy here, Canelo, will be never above. And let's make sure this is clear, just the little things. He's a 2-division champion, right? He's a 2-division champion. Was trying to go up to 168 to fight Billy Joe Saunders, right? Now all of a sudden Billy Joe Saunders has been banned from fighting because he got to wait on Canelo to May, right? He was supposed to fight Billy Joe Saunders before. What happened? Billy Joe Saunders doped, but still gets an opportunity. That's another thing. To be motivated and not doped all of these years, and people around you are, you will be rewarded in Doma's top 10. Don't give it up. The only problem is, don't nobody give a damn about Doma's top 10. But bottom line is, we know what you're up to. Demetrius Andrade, number 2 pound for pound. If you want to know more about him, just put in Doma and Demetrius Andrade and look at some of them videos. Because when I talk about him, as long as I can talk about Deontay Wilder, let's keep it moving, right? So my number 1 pound for pound, to nobody's surprise, has to be Terence Bud Crawford, period. 37-0 with 28 KOs, a 3-division champion, not 1, not 2, 3-division champion. And another feather in his cap is the fact that legendary Manny Pacquiao hasn't been wanting to fight this guy for 4 or 5 years. So now hence him having to be the B-side to Errol Spence or someone else, because of the simple fact that he hasn't had a marquee fight. But, you know, I like to just say, if Pacquiao would have fought him 4 years ago, 3 or 2 or whatever, he would have been a household name. But when his trainer says he don't want him to fight with Freddie Roach, he does not want Pacquiao to fight this guy. He's a young Floyd Mayweather. We don't want that. When his promoter says he doesn't want it, Bob Arum says, nope, we don't want Pacquiao to get hurt up in here. I'm worried about Pacquiao's well-being from a guy that's not bigger than him. That's awesome, because people don't talk about Pacquiao with no one else like that. No one else. We're going to worry about Pacquiao's well-being until they say something about Golovkin at 160. But other than that, nobody's worried about Pacquiao's well-being until you say Terence Crawford. Right? What is that, a man? You know, that's ridiculous. And listen, when Terence Crawford, sometimes you hear this resume, he didn't do this, he didn't do. I've fought in 3 divisions. Lightweight, 135, nobody was, you know, when he left, wasn't nobody there saying, hey, you know, fight me first. Then goes to 140 and becomes undisputed at 140. All hail Julius Ndungo, because Julius Ndungo was willing to test himself, right? Sometimes when you get undisputed, there's always some weird stuff that happens most of the time, right? Alexander Uzik, because he was in the WBWS tournament, right? And people had to fight each other because they was in the tournament. But normally, when you get close to undisputed, things happen. Weird stuff happens. See, Canelo didn't fight Demetrius Andrade. I just mentioned that. He did not fight Demetrius Andrade. One fight. Teofimo Lopez. It's one fight. All he got to do is fight Devin Haney. Weird stuff happens. Then all of a sudden the fighters don't want it. It's the same dudes. It's never I ain't gonna say that, but whatever. It's never, it ain't Demetrius Andrade's fault for Canelo not fighting him, and it's not Devin Haney's fault for Teofimo Lopez not fighting him, is it? Right? Terence Crawford, undisputed, all hail Julius Ndongo for coming in to try to become undisputed himself. He didn't do it, but because of his courage, after beating Troy Nowski in Russia and Ricky Burns in England somewhere, to want to go to Nebraska, to go to the backyard of Terence Crawford, to do that, Julius Ndongo, I will never forget that. But Terence Crawford is the one who won that fight with a body blow. A lot of separation with Julius Ndongo, a lot of separation with guys like Victor Postal, right? Jeff Horn, after he beat Manny Pacquiao. He's got a couple of undefeated guys. Jeff Horn was one, Jose Benavides, and somebody else, and Mean Machine Kavalikis. All three of those guys were undefeated and welterweights, bigger than him. So, I don't know. I think that if Terence Crawford was easy, people would be running towards him because it's an easy scalp. You got to imagine the people in the welterweight division. You got a guy coming up to your division, smaller than you, and he's the number one pound for pound. That's somebody who's supposed to want that scalp. Man, I got a smaller dude. I got an opportunity to be the number one pound for pound. Because when the pound for pound is somewhere, most of the fighters, it's not close in or around their division, right? So they could never say, man, I could probably beat him. I don't know why he's number one pound for pound. Somebody says a number one pound for pound is 135 pounds. Someone 160 is like, man, I could beat him, man. It's ridiculous that they got him, but they can't never get close to fighting. So that's why when someone undisputed and number one pound for pound gets close to your division, I don't know why Terence Crawford is doing the chasing. The bigger fighters should be like, man, let's get rid of this little dude. That's a perfect opportunity for me to go be the number one pound for pound, right? And I'm bigger already. But that's not what's happening, right? That's not what's happening. Terence Crawford seems to have to be doing the chasing. And it is what it is. And I just did a video a few hours ago, matter of fact, that your boy Manny Pacquiao wants $40 million to fight him as we speak. $40 million, right? So I'm just saying, Terence Crawford, to me, there's a lot of separations in all his fights. That's why people will say those guys he fought are bums or he doesn't have a good resume, because there's no close fights, really, right? Reminds me of Mayweather, where there's not really close fights. You got to pick one. Oh, man, remember what Jose Castillo fight, the first fight? You keep going back to that one. And then, all these people be injured in their fights, and Mayweather really had one hand injured and fought with one arm the whole time, literally. But no one mentions that in his close fight, right? The same thing here. You're going to get a real close fight with Terence Crawford, you're going to have to go back to Gamboa or something. Most of the time, it's a little bit, a round or two with the other guys looking decent. All of a sudden, Crawford, here he comes. He downloads your information, boom, and it's over. So I think Terence Crawford, and another thing, last thing I'll say is, when you say pound for pound, that's the very best fighter. And like I used to say a couple of years ago is, if the aliens came down to Earth, and they wanted to blow the place up, unless we send a fighter to fight, to fight for the Earth, right? For the Earth, against their fighter, who the hell you sending? Who the hell you sending? You sending somebody that has other people in their division, Earthlings, that they won't fight? I don't think there's any Earthlings in or around the division of Terence Crawford that he's not going to fight. You know what I'm saying? So I would probably send Terence Crawford in the name of Earth to fight the aliens to make sure he saves the planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? As of right now. There's a few coming up, but as of right now, I got Terence Crawford number one, and there's no doubt about it. So, guys, that's the top 10 pound for pound. I know it's debatable if other people look at it. Right, if you're looking at traditional pound for pound lists, they know these informations that I know, but they can, they can comfortably ignore those informations. They don't want the information out like that, but it is what it is. This is how I see boxing. Now, it's debatable. Oh, man, I probably missed this one. I probably missed that one. Probably get me to some, a couple of honorable mentions. For example, Artur Beterbiev, light heavyweight division. Okay, guys 15 and 15, 15-0 with 15 KOs, right? I think he's 16 now, 16-0 with 16 KOs. You know, but Beterbiev is about to hit the top 10 pound for pound, probably even high if he continues. But he has Bivol in his division. He can unify. Let's see what's up. But I do rate his win over Vucek because I think Vucek, is better than Bivol, to be honest. And he beat Vucek. So Beterbiev is definitely an honorable mention. He should be knocking on that door very soon. You got to mention him. Another one is Josh Taylor, right? Josh Taylor won the WBA tournament in junior welterweight division, right? And, you know, hey, it was some people there. The only ones that wasn't there, I can remember, was Maurice Hooker wasn't there and Ramirez wasn't there. But Josh Taylor won that tournament, and he's going to try to become undisputed by beating Ramirez, which I think he will do. So he'll be, Guns N' Roses up here. He'll be knocking on the door for sure. Teofimo Lopez, if he would have just signed to fight Devin Haney, signed. We didn't even have to see the fight yet. If he would have signed, then he would have been in my top 10. It's just the fact that he won't even sign, which, for more money and all of those little things that we know about that, then we know that he's not deserving, right? There's a guy in your division that you just hell-bent on not fighting. You're not deserving until you handle that business first. So, therefore, those are my honorable mentions, and there's, of course, more, but I'm just saying that's my top 10 pound for pound. Y'all want to go through it one more time? All right, we got Devin Haney at number 10. We got Naoya Inoue at number 9. We got Errol Spence at number 8. We got Jamel Charlo at number 7. We got Guillermo Rigondeaux at number 6. We got Jamel Charlo at number 5. We got Deontay Wilder at number 4. We got Alexander Uzik at number 3. We got Demetrius Andrade at number 2. And we got Terence Bud Crawford at number 1. That's it. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm about to hear y'all.